Think you're safe in your city?
Think again.
From gang violence to rising crime rates and economic downfall, these 10 places have become America's most dangerous zones in 2025. Is your hometown on this list?
You might be shocked.
In this video, we break down the 10 most dangerous places in the United States for the year 2025. Our ranking is based on violent crime rates, FBI and city-reported data, socioeconomic instability, drug-related activity, and homicide statistics. We're not here to criticize, we're here to reveal.
And maybe even warn.
So buckle up as we count down the cities where danger is not just around the corner, it lives there.
Number 10.
In 2025, Chicago continues to be one of the most dangerous cities in the United States, with violence plaguing multiple neighborhoods across the city. The homicide rate has reached new heights, with over 780 murders recorded in just the first half of the year. Gun violence is widespread, especially in areas like Englewood, West Garfield Park and Austin, where daily shootings are tragically common. Residents frequently hear gunshots at night and even during the daytime, creating an atmosphere of constant fear and insecurity. Carjackings, armed robberies, and home invasions have all increased sharply, affecting both the rich and the poor alike. Many people are afraid to use public transport or even walk short distances near their homes. Police officers are quitting in large numbers, citing stress, low morale, and public distrust as reasons. Community-police relationships are broken, and rebuilding the trust is proving to be a difficult task. Youth in the city are vulnerable to gang recruitment due to limited access to education, jobs, and support. Mental health crises are exploding, and trauma centers are overwhelmed by victims of violence. Local businesses are struggling to survive amid ongoing threats and a shrinking customer base. While city officials have promised reform and investment, very little change has actually reached the streets. Chicago's deep-rooted issues now threaten to redefine its future as a place of fear rather than a city of opportunity.
Number 9.
St. Louis, Missouri has earned a troubling reputation as one of the most violent cities in the U.S., and 2025 shows no signs of improvement. The city leads the country in per capita homicide rates, with murders and shootings occurring almost daily. North St. Louis is especially dangerous, plagued by gang activity, drug trafficking, and drive-by shootings. Residents often stay indoors after dark, fearing for their lives and the safety of their families. The police department is understaffed and overwhelmed, leading to delayed response times and low crime-solving rates. Many crimes go unreported because citizens don't trust law enforcement or fear retaliation. Abandoned buildings and empty lots make it easier for gangs to hide, operate, and recruit vulnerable youth. Poverty, joblessness, and lack of educational resources further deepen the city's social wounds. Community outreach programs are in place but are vastly underfunded and struggle to reach those in need. Public schools are deteriorating and cannot provide safe or nurturing environments. Mental health issues are rising among residents living under constant pressure and fear. Though city officials have made pledges to turn things around, progress remains painfully slow. St. Louis stands at a breaking point, where urgent, large-scale reform is the only path to lasting safety and peace.
Number 8.
Baltimore remains trapped in a vicious cycle of violence, drugs, and poverty, making it one of the most dangerous places in America in 2025. The murder rate is among the highest in the nation, with more than 300 homicides already reported this year. Much of the violence is fueled by heroin and fentanyl distribution, which continues to ravage communities. West Baltimore is particularly vulnerable, where gangs operate openly, and gunfire is a common background sound. The city's police force faces a crisis of credibility, as many residents view officers with suspicion and fear. Low morale among law enforcement has led to increased resignations and slower emergency responses. Schools in high-crime areas are under-resourced and struggle to keep students safe or engaged. Mental health services are insufficient to meet the needs of a traumatized population. Job opportunities are scarce, especially for young people trying to escape street life. Businesses are fleeing high-crime zones, leaving behind economic deserts and broken trust. Community programs are trying to help but lack the scale and funding to reverse the damage. Daily life for many residents involves navigating danger, trauma, and constant stress. Baltimore urgently needs comprehensive reforms to break free from its deeply rooted crisis.
Number 7.
Despite some revitalization in downtown areas, Detroit continues to battle serious crime in 2025, especially in its struggling neighborhoods. Gun violence remains a significant issue, with hundreds of shootings reported this year alone. Many crimes happen in daylight, near schools and family homes, adding to the community's fear. Police resources are stretched thin, with many districts operating at reduced staffing levels. East and West Detroit remain hotspots for gang violence and drug trafficking. Abandoned homes are frequently used as drug dens or hideouts for criminals. Unemployment and poverty contribute directly to the rising crime rate, pushing people into desperate situations. Young people face few educational or employment opportunities and are vulnerable to gang influence. Addiction, particularly to opioids, continues to destroy families and communities. Emergency response times have worsened due to high call volumes and low personnel. Business investment remains limited to a few safe zones, while other areas deteriorate further. The divide between revitalized and abandoned areas is stark and growing. For many Detroit residents, survival is a daily struggle in a city still far from true recovery. Number 6. Memphis has seen a dramatic increase in violent crime in 2025, with the city now ranking among the deadliest in the United States. Shootings and homicides are daily occurrences in neighborhoods like Orange Mound and South Memphis. The police department is under extreme pressure, facing both staffing shortages and public mistrust. Gang activity has expanded, with turf wars spilling into residential streets and schools. Armed robberies, carjackings, and home invasions are affecting citizens from all walks of life. Many residents feel abandoned by local leadership and live in constant fear. Poverty rates are high, and social services are overwhelmed and underfunded. Youth programs are lacking, and many teens are recruited into street gangs at a young age. Schools are unsafe, and learning is often disrupted by nearby violence. Mental health crises are on the rise due to chronic exposure to trauma and loss. Businesses are closing or reducing hours to avoid becoming crime victims. Emergency rooms are filled with victims of gun violence, stretching healthcare workers to their limits. Memphis is in urgent need of long-term solutions, investment, and community healing to reverse its downward spiral.
Number 5.
Oakland has become increasingly dangerous in 2025, with crime spreading even into neighborhoods once considered relatively safe. East Oakland remains one of the most violent areas, where gunshots and sirens are heard daily. Homicides have surged, with gang violence and drug wars responsible for much of the bloodshed. Police are understaffed and struggling to maintain order as crime spreads citywide. Homeless encampments are growing rapidly and often become hubs for illegal activity. The city is deeply divided between tech wealth and working-class poverty, intensifying social tension. Many residents no longer feel safe walking alone, even during the daytime. Car theft, armed robbery, and burglary have reached alarming levels in 2025. Local businesses are closing, and tourists are avoiding the city altogether. Community centers that once offered safe spaces are now shut due to lack of funding. Residents have lost faith in both city leaders and law enforcement. Public schools are suffering from both underfunding and safety threats. Oakland is a city of potential, but that promise is being erased by unchecked crime and political neglect.
Number 4.
Cleveland has seen a steep rise in violence and public disorder in 2025, with East Side neighborhoods being the most affected. The city's homicide rate has grown steadily, and gun violence is now a common threat to residents. Drug abuse, particularly involving heroin and synthetic opioids, plays a significant role in the crime wave. Police departments are stretched thin and often unable to respond quickly to emergency calls. Many areas suffer from high unemployment, leading to frustration and desperation. Schools are underfunded and increasingly unsafe, especially in high-crime zones. Abandoned buildings and poor lighting provide cover for criminal activity at night. Community organizations are doing their best but lack financial support and manpower. Mental health services are insufficient, leaving thousands without treatment. Residents report frequent incidents of theft, assault, and vandalism. Public trust in leadership is low, with many calling for federal intervention. Businesses hesitate to operate in Cleveland due to constant security risks. Unless immediate action is taken, Cleveland may face long-term collapse and outmigration.
Number 3.
Birmingham is facing a dangerous reality in 2025, with violent crime spreading through its inner-city communities. Gun-related incidents, including both homicides and accidental shootings, are sharply rising. Domestic abuse and assault cases have increased, putting further pressure on emergency services. The police department is underfunded and stretched far too thin to control the chaos. Many neighborhoods are marked by blight, poverty, and abandoned buildings. Youth crime is growing as kids are drawn into gangs due to lack of opportunity. The city's public schools are struggling to remain safe and functional. Drug trafficking and meth production are significant sources of violence and disorder. Mental health support is nearly non-existent in many communities. Infrastructure is deteriorating, with streets, lighting, and basic utilities in poor condition. Small businesses are closing, unable to operate safely or afford rising insurance costs. Community trust in local leadership has all but disappeared. Birmingham urgently needs federal aid and local reform before its most vulnerable citizens lose hope.
Number 2.
Stockton continues to suffer from extreme violence and insecurity in 2025, making it one of the most dangerous cities in California. Gun violence and gang warfare have escalated sharply, especially in low-income districts. The police force is underfunded, overworked, and struggling to respond to daily emergencies. Residents report hearing gunshots frequently and often avoid leaving home at night. Drug abuse, particularly meth and fentanyl, contributes heavily to crime rates. Homelessness has surged, with encampments growing across the city. Armed robberies, assaults, and break-ins are a common experience for many families. Public spaces like parks and transit stations are becoming increasingly unsafe. Schools are affected by surrounding violence, making learning difficult and stressful. Medical facilities are overwhelmed by victims of violence and overdose. Community programs lack funding, staff, and consistent support to function. Property values are falling, and families are moving out whenever they can. Stockton desperately needs intervention and recovery planning to stop further decline.
Number 1.
New Orleans, a city rich in history and culture, is now grappling with severe violence and unrest in 2025. The murder rate has surged again this year, with violent incidents happening across many districts. Central City, Treem, and parts of the 9th Ward are especially high-risk areas. Gangs, drug trafficking, and illegal weapons are widespread and hard to control. Police forces are under-equipped and suffer from low morale and slow recruitment. Tourists are becoming targets of theft and assault, hurting the local economy. Public trust in law enforcement is rapidly diminishing due to corruption scandals and poor results. Homelessness has increased after storm damage went unrepaired in poorer areas. Mental health services are underfunded, leading to many untreated cases of trauma and addiction. Schools are struggling to retain students amid violence and instability. Businesses in dangerous zones are closing or relocating to safer cities. Community organizers are working hard, but their reach is limited by lack of resources. New Orleans is a city on edge, needing transformation to protect its people and preserve its soul. These 10 cities are not just names on a list, they are home to millions of people living in fear every day. The violence, poverty, and neglect they face in 2025 cannot be ignored any longer. Behind every crime statistic is a real family, a real victim, a real community suffering. While some cities thrive, others are left behind, struggling for survival. Police alone cannot solve the problem. It takes education, opportunity, and unity. Community heroes are doing their part, but they need real support. Every American deserves to walk safely in their own neighborhood. These cities don't need pity, they need action, attention, and change. Let's not turn away from the truth, let's face it together. If we want a safer future, we must fight for it now. Share this video, raise your voice, and demand better. One city saved is one step toward national healing. The time to act is not tomorrow, it's today.